Hello and welcome to Boomer Live. We are back again live to talk about the IPL. Today is an off day for IPL after 58 long days of exciting cricket matches. So today we are here to review whatever has happened through the course of these 58 days and how have the teams proceeded. I have Jones and Sandipani to join me. How are you all doing and how does it feel not to have an IPL? Jones, coming to you first up.
Uh, it has been a hot day, but we have women's T20 seconds, which will be
Yeah,
starting at 7:30 p.m.
yeah,
But still, it has been long. I think even though it has been 10 team, I don't feel too much. Uh, uh, Many people have tweeted or many people have said that it is a long IPL, 10 teams, it won't be successful, etc. But still, we have seen very good matches, especially
yeah,
the two new teams. They have performed so well, and that made the IPL more exciting as well. A fresh franchisee coming into the league and performing as a group, it is not easy as well because they are playing together for the first time in a new franchisee and dominating the league as well. Even though LSG went away in the last few matches, but still in the almost 75 percentage of the league, both the teams dominated. So it was really good to see, and we have seen the rise of many youngsters, and they almost got the opportunity to play in the T20 series against South Africa as well. So there is lots of good signs. I'm really excited to see in the playoff as well because fresh pitch in Eden Gardens. We might see some cracking contest. It will be. We have seen how well Eden Gardens has been supporting the batters in the last
yeah.
home series of Indian team. So there will be a run feast as well. So I'm really excited for tomorrow as well.
Let's look at the points table, right? Let's look at where things stand and what has happened in the points table. You see, Gujarat Titans, the newbies, have topped it, and the last two, you cannot just believe that the tide has just changed. Tables have turned. The OGs of IPL have turned up to be the last two positions. The newbies have made it to top four. Royal Challengers Bangalore and Rajasthan Royals two have. So you might have a new champion. 75% of a chance you have new champion, and you have among the top four, you just have one trophy in between them. That's been Rajasthan Royals for the first season where they got their trophy. Sandipani, what do you make of that table? It's like a complete turn of tides, right? Just can't believe that the two OGs are down and some newbies have made it to the top.
I mean, the new teams have taken the best from all the teams. It seems like that because, yeah, they have got some good picks in the draft. But we were a bit skeptical about Gujarat Titans' chances early on, right after the auction. But they have proved all their critics wrong and sort of topped the table in a convincing manner. They lost their last game and still they are 2 points clear of the rest of the table, at least 2 points clear of the rest of the table. So they have had a great season. We have seen some newcomers coming in shining
Yeah,
for them, and the good thing for some team like for Gujarat Titans is that none of their batsmen or bowler feature in the top 5 batters or top 5 bowlers, which all the more shows you that it has been a complete team effort from them. uh, all the players have stepped in at some
absolutely.
point of time, and it has been a complete team effort, and obviously we knew right at the start of the tournament that Gujarat Titans were the strong. They had their bowling team. It was the strongest suit between the two, between batting and bowling. But we have seen somebody like a Hardik Pandya step in as captain and sort of create those some match winning knocks. Somebody like a Rahul Tewatia, David Miller, Rashid Khan finishing games for them, and
Yeah,
obviously the brilliance of Shubman Gill in some of the games, and also Riddhiman Saha coming to the team in great form.
right.
These are
Absolutely.
just the facts with the bat, and with the bowling. I think we all know that Rashid Khan, Mohammad Shami, they have done their part. Probably they would have expected a bit more from somebody like a Loki Ferguson or an Alzari Joseph. Let's see. It's still like we still have playoffs to go, and a
Absolutely.
new find in the form of Sai Kishore, somebody like a Yash Dayal, uh, Darshan Nalkande. All the players have chipped in for them. It's been an all round team effort,
Yeah.
and which just shows that whenever the team is down, one or the other player is coming good for them. It's like the
True.
Mumbai Indians of 2020 2021.
Absolutely. I mean, very good. Let's pull the first team we're going to be talking about today. Jones, coming to you. What do you make of this team? Because Sandipani did throw some light on this. What do you reckon has made this team so successful this time? Is it their team environment? Is it the bowling attack? Because when you look at the batting attack on the first glance, you'll be like, oh my god, this team cannot possibly even go to the playoffs. Don't lie. I mean, I can accept it. I went on to some channels and saying that this team is going to be a team who's going to end up in the bottom four, just looking at the batting lineup. But then this team has had players stepping in at different positions in different situations. What has made that team special when it compares to other teams?
First coming to before the tournament, like everyone was expecting the bowlers to do well because if you look at they have got Mohammad Shami, they have got Loki Ferguson, they have got the backup of four Loki Ferguson with Alsari Joseph, then Sai Kishore, Rashid Khan, Hardik Pandey if he's bowling. So everyone knew they had the variety in bowling. They have got almost every bases covered from the new ball attack to left arm spin, spin, etc. But most of them were saying, or almost everyone were saying the batting is slim, especially too much dependency on that top order, and mainly there was Jason Roy as well before the tournament. Uh,
Right.
Jason Roy went away. That was a huge setback for them as well. So everyone was expecting their batting to underperform, but
Yeah.
it was. I didn't expect this to happen because if you look at the numbers as well, 4 or 5 players has got 300 plus runs in the
True.
top seven. I don't think many teams have done that. Maybe in 2020 Mumbai Indians or Chennai Super Kings in 2010 or 11. Other than that, I can't see this much consistency from each and every batter. So that has been the success mantra. Everyone contributing from Saha in the power play to Miller and Tiwatia in finishing. Then in the first half of the season, the way Hardik Pandya dominated and he anchored the innings. Then there were a few contributions, like even though a contribution might be less, but Sai Sudarshan or Abhimanyu Manohar or other players who came and went away from the side contributed a lot. Apart from, I would say, Vijay Shankar, almost everyone contributed in the battle lineup as well. So that has been success mantra. If Shubman Gill is failing, Saha will be performing. If openers are not firing, Hardik Pandya will be performing. If Hardik Pandya is not performing, Tiwatia or David Miller will be performing. So that is the success mantra of this season. But they need to improve or upgrade the version for next year. You
Yeah.
can't expect this to happen again in 2023. So that is where they need to be overlooked in the mini auction and get someone. Even if they are getting Jason Roy again, that will be great. Or there are lots of players who are waiting to get the opportunity as well. So they have got options and they have got almost most of the bases covered as well. But they shouldn't be happy with this. They can improve as a side.
Absolutely. Jones, just want to ask you, do you rate them to win the championship? Because let's give me a rating out of 10. How has their season been, especially when it comes to league stage, and can they make it to the final frontier of winning it?
I think it's really tough to tell. Even Hardik Pandya has openly told that the luck is favoring them so highly this season. So if the captain is saying similar to that, so it all depends on how they are going to play. And all four teams has got opportunities as well. Every four team has got loopholes in the sport. No team is perfect. Even Lucknow is not perfect. RCB is not perfect. Then Gujarat is not perfect. Rajasthan is not perfect. Every team has got their own issues in there. Some teams has issues in batting, some teams has issues in bowling, etc. Whoever
Yeah.
overcomes those issues, and these four teams has overcome these issues in the group stage as well. And one of the other aspect is that if you look at the fourth spot, every team has got better bowling unit than better batting unit. That
Yeah.
has been success mantra. If you look at the teams who have been qualified, that teams have better batting unit, but they have loopholes in bowling.
Yeah.
So that has been one factor I found out this season. Bowlers has been pretty dominating. Even though if you have issues in batting, there will be some players who can rise up. But if you have issues in bowling, it will be tough because some teams has got inexperience in there. They will be going for runs in the crisis in the crucial times of the tournament as well. So that is the one thing these four teams has done in their homework, in the auction or the draft system or in the retention policy.
Absolutely. Talking about that, let's go to the next team because Sandiman, you've already spoken about the Gujarat Titans. Let's talk about the team which finished second on the table. It was Rajasthan Royals. Rajasthan Royals had a lot of positives this season, especially when it comes to Josh Butler's form. He has been in impeccable form, especially in the first 7 games. Last 7 games, that's going to make Rajasthan Royals fans ponder whether can he convert that into the playoffs as well. And Yuzvendra Chahal, what a revelation he has been for the Rajasthan Royals. Wherever he goes, he turns out to be a revelation, and especially this time for Rajasthan Royals, he's been the go-to man. At the end of the auction, many people thought this team was a well-rounded side, considering they got a Prasidh Krishna, they got a Trent Bolt, they have a Yuzi and a Ashwin. Now, how well have they used their resources, Sandipani, if you have to rate them?
I think they have, as an unit, they have done perfectly well. I think just their concern will be the number 4 slot with the bat. I think with Devdutt Padikkal moving down the order and Yashasvi Jaiswal in good form with the bat opening the innings, I think they have that sorted as well. And recently they tried somebody like a Vander Dussen at number 6, but
Yeah.
always felt that if you are sort of promoting Ashwin up the order, that makes somebody like a Vander Dussen coming in at number 7, like after Rian Parak, that does not make any sense. So why not go for somebody like a Jimmy Nisham or a Mitchell?
Hmm.
That will fill the role properly. I think apart from that slot, and there was an issue with the fifth bowling option. Obed McCoy came in, did a good job. Kuldeep Sen did a very good job for them. The other four bowlers were consistent throughout. I think Prasidh Krishna, Trent Bolt in between had some off games where he was finding it difficult to pick up wickets early on. But I think in the later stages of the game, all the bowlers have sort of chipped in. Ashwin in the later half, in the second half, especially with the ball, has been a brilliant revelation for them as always. And
Let's not
talk
forget
about
him with
the
the
orange
bat
cap
too.
holder.
Let's not
Yeah,
forget him with the bat too. He's been
yeah,
excellent with the
bat
bat.
Ashwin with the bat is an added bonus, because you don't expect Ashwin to come in at number 7 for a team. He has
Absolutely.
uh, in the past as well, he has come in at number 8 for all the franchises. I think even for Punjab Kings, unless he was getting floated up the order for 1 or 2 innings, I think more often than not we used to see Ashwin come in at number 8 for CSK, for Punjab
Yeah.
Kings.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think he has been a revelation, right at the top, coming in at number 3 or coming in at number 6, 7, playing some match winning innings with the bat as well. And all in all, I think if you look at the team, they have the orange cap from their team, they have the purple cap in their team. So it's been going good for them. And especially, I think the biggest achievement for Rajasthan Royals will be that they have won. They are coming into this. They'll come into the qualifier tomorrow with
Yeah.
confidence, because they have won the last 2 games without Josh Butler contributing in any way. Like Josh Butler has not contributed with the bat. I think a big concern for them was how do they sort of overcome like Butler's failure. If Butler fails early, how do they go about it? Can they post a decent total, and can they come back and defend it? And I think they have done a brilliant job in the last 2 games. And it's just they are. Tomorrow's game, I think they will be in better form as compared to Gujarat Titans coming
Absolutely.
into the game.
True. Jones, I want to ask you, how has Sanju Samson's captaincy been? Because it's a second season as a captain, and of course, in second season, you're tested more than your first season, and he's helped Rajasthan for the playoffs as well. Now, how would you rate his captaincy? Secondly, now he's been ousted out of the Indian team. Will that have that point to prove kind of a mentality for him going into that playoffs with the bat and also as a captain?
I think if you look at the last season as well, he was so calm as a captain. That has been his success mantra for as a captain. If you look at most of the youngsters who are the captains of from India or across the world, if you watch the Big Bash or Bangladesh Premier League or T20 Blast, etc., the one factor most of them are missing is calmness, and Sanju Samson has a lot of calmness. If you look at last year as well, most of the things were not going for Rajasthan, even for Sanju as well. Not as a batsman, but as a captain, as a wicketkeeper, etc. But he was so calm under pressure, and that helped him to mold as a better person. Maybe he is missing that 70s, 80s, etc. But he has played some impactful knocks as well through the tournament, like 30s, 35, etc. When if you look at the first half of the season, Josh Butler gave that momentum factor to Rajasthan, and most of the times they were lacking in past few years as a group in the middle order. But this time, if you look at Sanju Samson, provided that momentum along with Shimron Atmail. So it has been a standout year for Sanju as a captain and as a batsman. And as I mentioned earlier, the calmness in him. And even though he has made few mistakes, if you look at the Bangalore match when Dinesh Karthik was batting, etc., he made few couple of mistakes, but he improved as a captain match by match. So that is very good sign moving forward to improve him as a cricketer as well.
Absolutely.
There will be he has shown his different side of batting as well. Like last year, he angered the Rajasthan Royals innings. He scored around 400 plus runs. This year,
Hmm.
Rajasthan got the start, so he changed the gear. His strike rate is around 150. So he has shown two sides of Sanju Samson, the batsman, in 2021 and 2022. So these are very good signs moving forward to Indian cricket and for Rajasthan Royals. Few next 5 or 7 years as a team as well.
Absolutely. Having said that, let's go to the next team who finished number three on the table. It's Lucknow Super Giants. Oh my God, they had a very good season to start off with, but somewhere there, they'll be shocked that they finished at number three because they were almost all set to finish at number one and number two on the table. And everybody told at the end of the auction this was the most balanced side. Yet again, you see KL Rahul amongst the runs, Avesh Khan, who is a 10 crore buy amongst the wickets as well. Jones, coming to you, would you be looking at this team and saying they had a very good IPL? Because so far they've had a very good IPL. There's now a final frontier to conquer, right? The last three games where you have to really push yourself as a team. You have to play those clutch games really well. KL Rahul, his record in the clutch games has never been good, but here is an opportunity for him to redeem himself. Let's talk about their team. Do you reckon they'll be slightly disappointed that they finished number three instead of number one, number two?
That is mainly because of the middle order. If you look at after Deepak, there is a big hole, like or big gap as well. Like Kurnal Pandya or Marcus Joynes or Jason Holder or Ayush Badoni or even they tried out Karan Sharma as well. So if you look at the top three and the from say 4 to 7, that has been a big gap, and that has been the issue for Lucknow Super Giants to finish in the third or fourth. So that is where they have been losing the games. So they need someone from the opener to fire or stay till the 15th over or 20th over. Then the middle order, including Ayush Badoni or Kurnal Pandya or Jason Holt or Marcus Swin, etc., can go after the ball from ball one. So if Bangalore can stop their top three, then it will be going to be difficult as what happened in the league stage as well. And one of the things is that Lucknow hasn't won a game against other playoff teams. They lost couple against Gujarat Titans. They lost couple of matches against Bangalore as well. Then they lost against Rajasthan as well. So they haven't won a game against the top three sides as well. So they need to be really proactive as a batting unit, especially that top three we all know Jose Hazelwood is one of the best new ball bowlers as well. So how they are going to counter Jose Hazelwood would be one of the deciding factors of the game as well. But the bowling has been the all-round package, almost similar to what Gujarat Titans or this Bangalore Royal Challengers has been given. But the issue is that from 3 to 7, there is a big gap between the top order and 4 to 7.
Yeah, absolutely. Sandipani, coming to you on similar lanes as well. You reckon at this very point, Lucknow will be feeling just disappointed with their batting performance, especially because I know they had a great game against Kolkata Knight Riders, against your own team, where they scored 210 for no loss. But then still, number four, number five, they played Manan Vora that game, surprisingly. Now going into the playoffs against RCB, you reckon they'll stay with that same batting order of playing even Manan Vora in that game, because Kolkata is going to be fresh wickets as well, where you never know if you're put on to bat on those good wickets, with the conditions. There's been a lot of rain around in Kolkata. You reckon that's going to be tested quite a bit? And also Hazelwood has a good number against both Rahul and Quinton de Kock.
Yeah, I think the matchup of Hazelwood against Rahul and Quinton de Kock is a very interesting fact now that you bring it up. I feel that Lucknow Super Giants tournament this season, like in this season, they have heavily banked on their bowlers, especially because they in the batting department they had just the 3 players performing. I think KL Rahul is the second highest run scorer this season. Quinton de Kock is the third highest run scorer this season. So both of them have scored over 500. And then there is Deepak Hooda, who has scored over 400. So I think around approximately 1450 runs have been scored by the top three of Lucknow Super Giants. And then there is nothing much from the others. So I think the vast majority of the runs have been scored by these three, and they have been highly dependent on the top order to perform. For somebody like as Jones rightly mentioned, that they have been heavily dependent on the top order to for somebody like the all rounders to come in and step in and fire. So I think yes, in the last game against KKR, they sort of brought back Evan Lewis, brought back Manan Vohra, because they sort of tried to strengthen their batting department, because we had seen in the last few games that once the top three got dismissed, or if the top two or the openers and Deepak Hooda were dismissed early, then they were finding it very difficult to get a grasp on the game, to accelerate at the death overs. Like there was no foundation laid, and it was a mess in the batting
Yeah,
department. Even though the bowlers were doing a spectacular job, somebody like a Mohsin Khan has been the one of the finds of the tournament, if not the like the most emerging player already. So Avesh Khan, another player who did exceedingly well for Delhi Capitals in the last season. I mean, to make a name for yourself in a team, I mentioned, in a team where there was some where there was likes of Rabada in brilliant form and Rick Norkie, to emerge from that team as a wicket taker, it takes something. And even in this team, you have somebody like a Jason Holder, Dushmanta Chamira, Mohsin Khan, Ravi Bishnoi, Krunal Pandya, and still Avish Khan picked up 17 wickets, having missed 2 or 3 games. So that just shows you the impact that he brings to the table. And I think Lucknow Super Giants have a brilliant bowling lineup. I
yeah,
just mentioned all the bowlers.
truly.
I think they have been heavily dependent on their bowlers' performance to get those wins, because the batting team, if the top three does not perform, has looked shaky. Ayush
Yeah,
Badoni showed a lot of promises in the first 2 3 games, but then he eventually fizzled out. But I will have to blame somewhere. I have to blame the management over there, because he was not just getting those opportunities. I mean, they just stereotyped him to play the finisher's role. I mean, there's nothing
absolutely.
wrong with that. I mean, you can sort of groom someone like a Badoni to be the finisher for Team India for in the future maybe. But in this tournament, we clearly saw in the very first game against Gujarat Titans, when the team was in absolute danger at 28 for 3 or 27 for 3, it was Ayush Badoni and Deepak Hooda who sort of played that anchor. Ayush Badoni was the one who played that anchor's knock and sort of stabilized the innings, while Deepak Hooda first of all formed a partnership, and then Deepak Hooda went for it initially. So we
Yeah,
saw that Ayush Badoni can sort of hold one end, and sort of go against the bowlers right at the end. So he has gears in his game. So they could have probably used him a bit better.
absolutely. Let's talk about that team from Bangalore, right? They have had a backstage entry, I would say, into the playoffs. They'll have to, of course, thank Mumbai Indians, but not just that. They'll be also feeling they are lucky at this very point of stage, because they will feel that, okay, we are going to miss out, but we got the bus at the right time. Now that we are on in Kolkata, we'll be facing against the Giants, of course. Jones, coming to you, how do you reckon their season has been? Because most of the time in the season, everybody predicted them to have a really good season, because that's the squad they possess. That's the kind of cricket they played initially in the season as well. But somewhere, they lost the wheels here and there, but then they got back again. Then even towards the end, the biggest positive for them at this very point is that Virat Kohli is back in form, and he's looking like he wants to score runs as well. Tell me about this squad, Jones, and how do you rate them going into the playoffs?
I think, as you mentioned, in the first half of the tournament, the middle and lower order was contributing a lot for the win, like Dinesh Karthik, Shabas, then few Glenn Maxwell in few games, etc. But you can't expect them to do match by match, and suddenly they failed in couple of games, and their top order exposed as well. Even though Faf has been the leading run scorer, but the consistency has been a big issue.
Yeah,
But in the recent games, with Virat, as you mentioned, Virat coming back into the runs is a huge positive, and that will be helping and reducing the pressure of Maxwell, DK, Shabas, etc. So that is one of the positive sides moving into the this Eden Gardens, and you will be getting a fresh pitch as well, and that will be helping this RCB batting unit as well. If you look at, they're almost free flowing batters from Virat, then Faf, Rajat Patidar, then DK, then Glenn Maxwell, then Mahipa Lomro. So this batting unit will be liking the ground or whatever we have seen in last 1 year or 2 years of Eden Garden. So CB has a great chance, and they are almost a well settled core as well. If everyone is coming good as a unit, then I believe they are one of the best sides in this tournament as well. Apart from their few issues in the top order due to this form lack of confidence issues.
Absolutely. Sandipani, coming to you, because we have talked about this team a lot of times through our analysis after every game as to how they are very good as a team, but then on some days they seem to show a lot of holes in their lineup as well, right? That you feel that, oh my God, their holes are much more tougher to be feeling. I thought through the season, top order was one of the major issues because they tried Anuj Rawat initially, did not come off. Then they brought in someone like Virat up top. Then number three was an issue. Then Rajat Patidar came in and filled that hole pretty good. So far, it looks very good as well. You reckon now going into the playoffs, that'll be a big positive that Virat is back in form. And also, let's talk about Manindu Hasaranga. How big a factor has he been for this team? Because leaving out someone like Yuzvendra Chahal is a huge call, right? And he has come into the squad and he has made sure there is no void at all. Picked up 24 wickets this season and looks well on par in competition with Yuzvendra Chahal for the purple cap as well.
Yeah, I mean, second highest wicket taker, just 2 wickets behind Yuzvendra Chahal. So I think Hasaranga has been a sensation for them. In the previous seasons, Hasaranga was not very well established in the international cricket by that time, in the last season. So he probably got 1 or 2 games, and he was taken for plenty and then dropped. So this time around, he was a big buy, and we always knew he was definitely a like to like replacement for Chahal, with an additional ammunition with the bat. So we always knew that he was going to be a very important cog in that RCB lineup, because they don't have any other specialist bowler. I mean, spin bowler. I mean, somebody like Shahbaz Ahmed is more like an all-rounder, bowling all-rounder, part-timer. And Maxwell, who has been filling in the boots in the power play, has been spectacular for them. Picked up 6 wickets at an average of just 24. Like, whatever he lacked with the bat in the later half of this tournament, he started off this season brilliantly, like the last season as well, with the bat. But eventually, as the games went on, we saw that in a few games he got dismissed cheaply. He was not being able to score with the bat, but then again he made amends with the ball, coming in at crucial times, going at an economy of just 7, picking up six
Yeah.
wickets for like at an average of 24. So Maxwell has been brilliant for them, and somebody like Dinesh Karthik, averaging over 57 this tournament, 191 strike rate, the highest strike rate this season, definitely deserved a national call up, and rightly so he did get it. So very happy for him, and very happy how the team has clicked in the last few games. I think the form of Virat Kohli and to some extent Faf du Plessis, even though du Plessis is the highest run scorer for RCB this season, but he also had had a season like somebody like Ishan Kishan. He was very good initially at the start, and then we saw that in the middle few games, in the 5-7 games, there was just one innings of 94 not out that he where he contributed deeply. Otherwise he was just getting out cheaply. So there was a concern with his form as well. Rajat Patidar coming in, scoring those 2 or 3 half centuries in between. Another very good addition is Mahipal Lomrod. I don't know why they were not playing him earlier. I always felt that Lomrod had a
Yeah.
place in this setup in the middle order, because he had done exceedingly well for Rajasthan Royals in the last few seasons. So he was a definitely he was a definite, as like he should be a definite at the start. And
Yeah.
somebody like a Prabhu Desai coming in, playing in 2-3 games, has
Yeah.
chipped in for them. So the youngsters has done a good job. There has always been this dependable Harshal Patel whenever you need him, even though this has been a very unfortunate tournament for him. There was the news of his sister, for which he missed a few games, and then in the last game as well he got injured. So it's been a sort of an unlucky sort of a season for him, but he has done his job with the ball. And somebody like Hazelwood has been exceptional for them. Hazelwood is slowly and steadily growing up to like be one of the best foreign bowlers this season. because foreign fast bowlers this season. He has picked up a lot of wickets. He has had just one or two off games. Other than that, he has been very economical. Even at the death at the start, we know always Hazelwood will have an impact at the start, because he gets the ball to talk. So all in all, it's been a very good season for RCB or the players basically. But there are some concerns. Somebody like Mohammad Siraj not getting enough confidence. I think this season has sort of hampered his confidence a bit. Especially because it is seen that Faf du Plessis is not showing the faith in him to bowl those end overs. I mean, they now have somebody like Hazelwood and Harshal Patel to completely bowl at the death. But even when Harshal Patel did not bowl, they opted, or they did not, like Siraj was dropped, I think, in the last one. And even in the previous games, he just got to bowl those 1 or 2 overs up front. He was very
Yeah,
expensive, and then he was taken off. So
absolutely.
and his quota of overs were completed by Maxwell or Shahbaz Ahmed. So
Yeah.
that is just a worry for me, concern for me personally. Only for Mohammad Siraj, I feel as a team, RCB has been doing well. Wherever they have thought that it's not clicking or it's not working, they have found the right replacement at the right time.
Absolutely. Let's talk about Mumbai Indians because the fans are really waiting to see what has really gone wrong with this team. Jones, coming to you because this team at the end of the auction, everybody thought, yeah, they are building for the future. And it was very clear. The message was very clear that they are looking to build a squad for the future with that buy of Jofra Archer. Now that Jofra Archer has the tendency of getting injured more often than not, should they be looking at some reinforcements as well in the next mini auction? Because that's going to be so crucial for them. By chance, if Jofra Archer does not turn up to the tournament, that's going to be a major, major blow for Mumbai Indians. Tell me about that, Jones, and what should Mumbai Indians be looking at the next season?
I think, as you mentioned, they are looking for the future. If you look at most of the players from Tilak Verma, Biwalt, Christian Tubbs, then a few others as well. So they are looking for the future. They are looking for the next 5 to 7 years. And if there is no mega auction as well, they will be one of the dangerous squad to be look out in IPL as well. And if you look at their bowling as well, as you mentioned, once Jofra is coming back, that will be putting huge pressure on the opposition. Like one side Jofra will be bowling, other side Bumrah will be bowling from the new ball to the death over. So it's going to be really, really difficult. And even though if you look at Bumrah had an off season, especially in the first half, but there was not much help from others as well. Like Daniel Sams came into the picture once he returned into the side after he had a break of 3 4 games. Then he came back strongly, and we have seen a different kind of bowling from Mumbai Indians as well. I think they won 4 matches out of 6 something in that phase. So Bumrah need to have that combination clicking. Last year they had Trent Bolt, before they had Malinga, etc. So
Yeah,
once Jofra is coming back, Jofra is there. Daniel Sams with the new ball. If he can continue this performance, then Bumrah is there. So that is going to be one of the dangerous bowling unit to look out in the next year as well. So I don't think they need to do much things. They have almost a core. Like Ishan will be opening with Rohit. Number 3 will be Surya will be coming back. Then Biwald will be there. No, number 4 will be Tilak. Then there will be Tim David is there. So we need to look out what will be the future of Kiran Pollard as well.
yeah,
He didn't play last 3 matches. He already retired from international cricket, but he is available in the domestic T20 leagues. Like he is going to play the T20 Blast. Then there is CPL is there. Then there are lots of T20 leagues. So we need to wait and watch how the future of Kiran Pollard lies. But still, there will be a core of 7 to 8 players for them. They just need to find that last 3 picks and get a very good 11 for the next year. So I don't think they need to worry too much. Even they finished 10th, but they have got lots of positives moving forward into the next 3 to 5 years.
absolutely, absolutely. See, Sandipani, we have seen that Ishan Kishan got a lot of flack as well initially, but then he went on to have a decent season. But if you compare him with the price tag, one might say it's a very average or a below average kind of a season. But let's talk about the positives from Mumbai Indians this season, right? You got someone like a Tim David, possibly a like-to-like replacement for Karen Pollard, a long-term investment. You have a Tilak Verma on his debut season, a 19-year-old kid has scored 400 plus runs in IPL. That's just commendable effort from him. Thirdly, you have found Riley Meredith, possible replacement for Jofra Archer. I'm not saying he's going to be a like replacement, but since he has come with Bumrah, Bumrah has looked even more potent, right, as a bowler, because Riley Meredith has done a decent job with Daniel Sams as well. Now, going ahead, you reckon these are some of the biggest positive takeaways for them from this season, and they'll be very happy to retain them and give them more confidence in the coming seasons?
I mean, definitely, because once they like Mumbai Indians were completely on the off track, they were sort of going with Basil Thampi, Jaydev Unadkat, Timal Mills, the experienced players, and they were just not coming off good for them. Once they sort of reshuffled their team and brought in somebody like Tim David, I don't know why they dropped Tim David in the first place. I have been very critical about their choice of dropping Tim David right after two failures, and not even failures basically, because you won't count the like he did not get any opportunities in the first game that they played against Delhi Capitals. Tim David scored a quick fire 12 or 13 of 6-7 balls right at the back end, so you don't expect too much from somebody like a Tim David. That is his job, to come in at the death and like go for it. So I think dropping him was a huge mistake up front. And then I will also take somebody like a Kartikeya or a Ritik Shokin as a huge positive for Mumbai Indians, and somebody like a Sanjay Yadav. He just got that one game, and it was just not his day. And somebody like a Ramandeep Singh coming in, bowling in those death overs. Rohit Sharma has used him in the death overs in the last two games, so he has been a good positive for them as well. And to talk about somebody like basically everyone who has come in the later stage of the tournament for Mumbai Indians, somebody like a Rohit Sharma sort of got those 2 3 40s, even though Rohit Sharma did not score a single 50 this season, but that's been Rohit Sharma in IPL in the last 4 5 years as well. He has not had the best of IPLs in the last 4 5 seasons, and I think
Yeah.
Rohit Sharma has just scored over 500 runs just once in his IPL career over 12 13 years. So it's a concern for Mumbai Indians that one of their openers is not getting the runs, and Ishan Kishan received a lot of flack. I think some of it was unnecessary, but some of it was due to he was sort of getting pressurized. He was not being able to score quickly. He was coming in and he was sort of occupying those balls and building up the pressure. And Mumbai Indians like they should have chased down three or more totals, that like three or four of the games that they lost, they should have chased down the score. And
Right.
because they just needed 70, 60, 70 of the last 7 6 overs at 10 runs per over with wickets in hand, and somebody like a Karen Pollard not stepping up has been a huge concern for them. Also, the Pandya brothers are missing. We know that what Pandya brothers did for them in the middle order in the 2019 2020 season, the two times that they won, everything. And the death bowling, obviously, Basil Thampi, Jaydev Unadkat, Timal Mills, they were going for plenty of runs. Somebody like a Daniel Sams in his early stint with Mumbai Indians in the earlier games, he also went for a few runs right at the top. But then again, when he was reintroduced to
Yeah.
the team was reject. We saw a different Daniel Sams. Daniel Sams was bowling really well. He was sort of giving Bumrah what he needs, building pressure from one end. Somebody like Riley Meredith was a brilliant addition as well. So it will be interesting to
Absolutely.
see how they go about their team in the next season. But I think they have enough compensation for like they received a lot of flack after the auction itself. But I think they have the core strength, like they have the core team that they need for the next season, because somebody like a Ramandeep Singh, Kartikeya, Ritik Shokin, all of them are very promising. Add to that
Yeah.
Tilak Varma scoring 397 in his first season under pressure when most of the top order batsmen were failing in most of the games. He was coming in very early and with high pressure on him, trying to having had to score over 13 14 runs per over. The required rate was creeping up to 13 14 whenever he was on the crease. So I think he adapted that very well. It's kudos to that guy. And also Team David in the later half, he just showed us how destructive he can be. So a lot of
Absolutely.
positives for Mumbai Indians. They won 4 of their last 6 games. They would have hoped that this momentum they could have sort of got earlier in this tournament. Uh, let's see how it goes in the next one. Definitely they'll bounce back stronger.
Absolutely. Let's talk about the team from Chennai, the defending champions of this season. But unfortunately, they couldn't defend their crown because they had to lose out very early in the tournament. So, Jones, It's a season which Chennai would like to forget because a lot of things did not go their way. Let it be from the injuries, let it be from one of the marquee players who did not turn up for the tournament as well. Uh, let's speak about what can Chennai possibly do from here on. Let's have the two ends of the spectrum, right? People always talk about Chennai Super Kings as a team that who always are known to bounce back because they've done it in 2020. It's always a positive sign for them. MS Dhoni is back as a captain as well. There's a lot of fiasco which went on between Jadeja management. It's a lot of chaos out there. How can Chennai Super Kings bounce back from here? That's what everybody wants to know.
I think it won't be easy for them. If you look at most of the players are getting aged. If you look Ambati Raidus or Robin Uttapas, etc. But they have got positive sides as well. If you look at what Dhoni has told, like Mukesh Chaudhary, Simranjit Singh, Prashant Solanki, then they have got Rajwardhan as well in their bench. So they have got a few set of players to improve as a team, but the issue will be how many players are going to be available in the mini auction as well.
Yeah.
So it's really early to tell. If you look at in 2020 as well, Chennai went through a similar phase. Then they came back. Then they went to the mini auction. Then they brought in Moeen Ali, and everything changed completely. Like the opening start was coming, Moeen Ali coming for and going after the word from Go as well. Then the background entirely changed, and anything can happen next year as well if Devon Conway and Ruturaj can perform consistently, and if they can score 500 plus runs in a season, then we might see a different set of Chennai Super Kings as well. So it's really tough to tell what is the way forward, but still they need to have some upgrades, especially that overseas department. In place of Adam Millani, they need to find out someone in the mini auction. Then there are few areas they need to work out as well. The replacements or the bench strength they need to work out. That is where they failed as well this season. Once they had injury issues like Deepak Chahar injured, Adam Millani injured, then there was few injury issues here and there as well. So that is where they need to work out, and the upgrades in overseas department.
Absolutely. Sandipani, I'll come to the next team now. It is your team from Kolkata, because they also promised to show a lot of good signs. At the start of the season, everybody thought this is the team to beat because they got off to a flyer. It was against the team which we just spoke about, Chennai Super Kings, and they marked a really good marking, saying that they got Umesh Yadav to open the bowling. He was picking up wickets for fun. Whenever you give him the ball in the power play, he was running in and picking up at least a couple of wickets, which was setting the game up for Kolkata. But then somewhere lost that touch, he lost that rhythm slightly, and Kolkata also started to fall over quite badly. But then you can't blame him. He had a very good season with the ball, and also Andre Russell had a terrific season. But then let's talk about where Kolkata went wrong. It had to be the opening combinations, isn't it? Because they tried so many opening combinations that even I don't have a count on. Because that's the number of opening combinations probably Chennai would have tried whole of their 13 years, I think, that you have tried in one season. Let's talk about that because that was a lot of chaos out there, isn't it?
I think not just the opening combination, just the changes around the team. They have used around 21, 22 players this season, which is a lot, honestly, uh, because KKR they did not have any stability. They started off the season really well, winning three of the first four games. Then they just fell into a loop, losing five games continuously, and in those five games we saw plenty of changes, and it is very difficult if you put yourself in somebody like Shivam Mavi's shoes. You won't know, like, you have one bad game and you won't know whether you are playing the next one or not. So I think that plays a fact that factors in into our mind, and they sort of decided to drop somebody like Varun Chakravarti and Venkatesh Iyer, two of their retentions, like whom they had banked on in the like they were heavily banking on these two superstars to sort of guide the team, and we know how critical those 8 overs of mystery spin is for KKR in IPL. Like Varun Chakravarti and Sunil Narayan bowling those 8 overs in the middle is I think gem is the main factor that sort of crumbles up the opponent. The batting team finds it very difficult to score quickly off them. But this time around, we saw that Varun Chakravarti had an off season, and somebody like a Rahul Tripathi just came in and sort of took the attack against Chakravarti. And I think that game against Sunrisers Hyderabad, where Rahul Tripathi scored a gem of a knock, 77-78, I think that just disturbed the rhythm of Varun Chakravarti, and he was not confident enough in the next few games because he was being targeted. Although I really loved how he came back in the last three games, I think KKR should have stuck to their core 11, or probably made two or three, if not less changes to their team. They shouldn't have made so many changes because it sort of disrupts the team combination, sort of the team environment as well. You don't know whether you will be playing tomorrow after having a bad game. Having said that, I think the two players from Caribbean did a spectacular job. The other two retainees, Sunil Narayan with the ball, I think this is a brilliant display. This is the third time he has gone for under 6 runs in an over, like throughout the season. This is the third season where he has considered less than 6 runs per over. So the economy rate of Sunil Narayan was brilliant, and Andre Russell couldn't have done much. I mean, we talk about Andre Russell, we talk about the 2019 season where he did everything for the
I mean,
franchise.
you would still say this is a 2019 kind of a season, right? Because there also you had Andre Russell really taking balling apart. You really had Andre Russell really stepping up and picking up wickets, but then KKR couldn't qualify. KKR just went
Yeah,
down on every
but
front.
there is a difference from the 2019 season, that in the 2019 season we saw that all the other batsmen used to crumble. Like all the other batters, they were in no form or rhythm. I think Sunil Narayan, Chris Lynn opening the innings, they were not getting going. Sunil Narayan was failing as an opener in the 19th season, and then they sort of tried different combinations, and the middle order was a mess because they used to send in floaters every now and then, and there was no fixed batting order. Nitish Rana was finding it very difficult in the middle order. I think 2019 was a very bad season for the middle order of KKR. Dinesh Karthik saved them a couple of times, like played a good cameo sort of a knock in a few games, but it was Andre Russell all around. But if you talk about this season, we had a Nitish Rana having a good season. We had a Shreyas Iyer having a good season, and somebody even with the ball, I think Sunil Narayan, Umesh Yadav had a very good season. Tim Saudi had a very good season. So this is something which we had not seen from KKR in the past few seasons.
Yeah.
That they were too heavily dependent on Russell. Russell was having a brilliant season. Other than that, I think the all the other players were sort of chipping in one or two of the games, but not as entirely as a team. I think in the last season, Venkatesh Iyer came in and sort of just bolstered through the team. Like the opening combination
Hmm.
of Shubman Gill and Venkatesh Iyer was one of the key assets, key reasons why KKR qualified to the finals in the last season. I think this time around, they did not have the stability at the top with the bat. The middle order did a fair amount of, like, they did a decent job, and I think they were a bit off with the ball as well. Somebody like Umesh Yadav was excellent in the power plays, uh, and somebody like a Sunil Narayan was brilliant in the middle overs. But every now and then we had even Tim Saudi chipped in at the end really nicely. But somebody like a Pat Cummins coming in with that high price tag of 7.4, even though he got half of what he got in the last season, but still he came in and he considered over 12 runs per over. He played 4 games,
Yeah.
he considered 190 runs in 16 overs. That is not something which you expect from your premium fast foreign bowler in an IPL. So I
Yeah.
think
Absolutely.
there was no excuse. The bowling let them down, the top order batting let them down, and major collapses let them down. So it's
Absolutely.
been that kind
Let's
of
go to the
season.
next team. They showed a lot of glimpses here and there. Jones. They won five in a row. They lost first couple of matches, but then they won five in a row. That's when everybody thought, wait a minute, this team has arrived. This team is a team to watch out for. Abhishek Sharma had a tremendous season, given his opportunity to open the batting. Umran Malik has been a revelation, leading up into the Indian team colors as well. Now he's got a national call up. What do you make of Sunrisers Hyderabad, and where do you reckon that they're falling in the table?
Uh,
Yeah, I think he just froze. You can continue, Jones.
Yeah.
if you look at for Sunrisers Hyderabad, I think they missed out a trick of a attacking spinner to have wickets in middle phase. If you look at, they were too much dependent on Umar and Malik to produce wickets match by match. Sometimes it won't be easy for an youngster as well to do well in each and every game. So they missed out that they should have brought in someone like Adam Samba or someone to get that middle order wickets. And apart from that, I would say they had a pretty good season, and we all know Kane Williamson's form. It won't be easy for him as well. Like he hasn't played any cricket during the home season for New Zealand. Then coming straight away into IPL, and IPL is one of the toughest league as well, or is the toughest league. So it wasn't easy for them. Apart from that, I think if you look at Abhishek Sharma was a huge positive. Rahul Tripathi was a positive. The way Markram has played this season, then Pooran has showed very good signs. Then I believe they should have backed Abdul Samad with a little bit more. It was a too much early decision to putting him in the bench, because we all know he has got lots of talent, and that is one of the reasons why Sunrisers retained him. So it was one of the decisions they went wrong. Then they had the way Bhuvaneshwar bowled this season. Then Umran Malik, I think he got around 20 to 21 wickets this season. Then Natarajan showed some signs of all Natarajan in the first half of the season before him getting injured. So overall, I would say they have got positive sides more than negatives, but they can improve as a side as well. Someone they need to bring some attacking spinner, and that will be putting lots of pressure on opposition middle phase as well. Like Umran Malik plus an attacking spinner will make that 7 to 15 phase one of the horrible times for an opposition team as well.
Hmm, absolutely. Let's talk about another team who impressed everybody with the kind of style they played their cricket, the brand of cricket they played, the philosophy which was embedded onto them. It was Punjab Kings, because they got off to a flyer against RCB. They just on 205 that game, and everybody thought, "Oh my God, this team has got some real tough cookies out there, and they're going to really give other oppositions run for money." Many predicted them to be a playoff contender, and they were actually, but then it just did not happen. Yet another season where they go down with just they finished number 6 on the table. Yet another season, because number 6 has been a constant for them for quite a while, and they wouldn't want this happening for way too long as well. Rabala was really good for them. Shikhar Dhawan, though many would expect him to have a mediocre kind of a season, because Dhawan, we know him to be 500 runs almost every season. He has been a bang for Delhi Capitals, but this season he just scored 400 odd. But then you had players like Liam Livingston coming in. You had players like Bears who came in for a couple of games here and there. Something money, you reckon now looking back, Punjab would be really disappointed at this kind of season they had.
Yeah, I think Punjab would be kicking themselves for the team selection that they continued with in the middle stages, because you know that a team can start off with a particular sort of 11 whom they consider to be the best 11 in that lineup, and you might have one or two bad games, and you can just shuffle your teams. I'm not saying that just shuffle all your players. I think the shuffling of somebody like a Odin Smith and somebody like a Shah Rukh Khan, and bringing in somebody like a Jitesh Sharma and Rishi Dhawan to the party was a bit late for them. I think that cost them dearly, because we knew that Rishi Dhawan has had a brilliant season in the domestic circuit. He was really like good for the domestic team that he was playing for, and coming into the franchise, into the Punjab Kings franchise as well, he did his part with the ball. He got very few opportunities with the bat, and whenever he got those opportunities, he sort of converted them. So I think he had done a good job overall. So I think just the team selection was a bit off for Punjab Kings in the early stages. And having said that, I really am happy to see Liam Livingston finally coming to the form, and finally showing the world how destructive he can be. He had proved himself in various tournaments all across the world. For example, in the NatWest Blast or the 100, or the wherever he played, like all across the globe. But when it comes to IPL, he was really struggling. For Rajasthan Royals, he hardly scored any runs in the last 2 seasons. He got very few opportunities, you might add. And for Rajasthan Royals, even he was pushed to open in a couple of games. So I think that was not very comfortable for him. And I think in Punjab Kings, his role was very, like, they sort of specified a role for him, that you have to just come in, say in the in between 7th to 15th over, you can come in at any time and just go after the bowling. And that's
Yeah,
been the motto of Punjab Kings. That has sort of impressed me, that they have gone hard against all the players. They somebody like a Rajapaksha coming in, uh, Bairstow coming in and going after the bowlers right from ball one. Going in too heavy have cost them a couple of games this season. But I think as an approach, I think this is something that KKR used to take in the last few seasons. Even in this season as well, they were a bit conservative in this season because they had a stronger middle order, as to say. But otherwise, we have seen this approach from KKR. They send in floaters who sort of go hard at it. Another team has been Delhi Capitals, who have been going really hard at it right from ball one. And
absolutely.
same is the case with Punjab Kings, and that has been very impressive. I think next time around, they might be a bit luckier. I think they were just, it was just those 1 or 2 games, just one game here and there.
I mean, they
Would
will
have
be kicking themselves looking at just those couple of games, especially one of those games against Lucknow, where they should have backed
Yeah,
themselves to chase it down as well. Now, if you look back in hindsight, a lot of things they should have felt like they should have, would have. Having said that, let's look at the last team of the day, and it's just one team from Delhi. They'll be right now kicking with Bangalore and saying that, "Aisa kyun kiya hamara saath? Why were you all praying against us?" Because they will have only themselves to blame, right? Jones, they came so close. Their faith was in their hands ultimately, but then they just fell apart. They just fell by those 2 points, which has now cost them the playoff spot. How do you make up their season? Because they had a lot of iffy season. They had a very big iffy season because they had COVID scares, they had players injured, they had late arrivals, a combination of a lot of emotions and a lot of dryness in them, isn't it? Now, going ahead and looking back at it, how do you find their season to be? Because now let's talk about how their season was, and let's look ahead as well. You're on mute, Jones.
I think, as you mentioned, there has been lots of issues for them, like late arrivals, COVID issues, Prithvi Shaw getting typhoid, etc. But apart from that, they could have done even more better because their bowlers performed more than everyone expected. One of them was Khalil Ahmed. He bowled so well. Then Akshar Patel came back strongly the second half of the season, and Kuldeep Yadav performed even though he went for runs, but he was taking the important wickets. So the thing I felt was their middle order wasn't scoring big runs. They were getting starts like 30s, 20s,
Yeah.
etc. But they couldn't convert that into 50s, 70s, etc. So that was one of the missing link because they had Warner who performed so well, who scored lots of runs. Then Mitchell Marsh came really well in the later half of the tournament. Even Robman Powell as well. But the missing link was that big scores, that 70s, 80s, etc. That was the missing link. If they could have scored that 70s, etc., then I believe they would have been in the top four as well because their bowlers performed more than everyone expected. Because from 2021 to 2022, there was a big downgrade. Like they had Nokia, Rabada, Avesh Khan, Ashwin, Amit Mishra, etc. And this time, if you look at Khalil, Thakur, Kuldeep Yadav, Lalit Yadav, Akshar Patel, etc. And even few games, Nokia was not available as well. Mustafizur was playing, etc. So their bowler, if you compare with other bowling units, they are not that great, but they perform more than the expectation. So I would say the batters really underperformed, especially everyone was looking forward to their batting unit like Warner, Shah, Mitchell Marsh, Rishabh Pant, Roman Powell, Akshar Patel, Thakur, Rupal Patel, Oldithia, etc. So they had big names in batting, but they failed to score big. That is one of the reasons why they failed in this, or not failed. They couldn't make into the playoff stage.
Absolutely. Having said that, it was a wonderful time talking about all the teams because 10 teams is a huge tournament. Imagine this was a 2015 teams tournament. We'll have to sit here for the whole day and talk about it. Thankfully, it's just 10 teams and it also feels way too long. But yeah, it was lovely talking about it, analyzing, and we got some really good questions as well. Thank you both for joining. And having said that, also, guys, whoever have joined, subscribe to our channel right now and also click the link so that you can play our contest with Boom 11 because it's a totally free to play fantasy app and you can win prizes. There's some exciting prizes waiting for you guys for the finales. We have been associated with some exciting sponsors as well. So if you want to win some exciting prizes, play the fantasy corners with boomer level and make your team, because tomorrow is a big match. Sandipani, give me a word. Will the match go through? How's the weather condition in Kolkata? Because you are in ground zero and you're going for the match as well. So tell me about it.
Yeah, I think today the weather is fine. It's hot and humid, but we haven't had rain yet since the last 2 days. In fact, we had a storm day before yesterday. Yesterday was fine. Today is fine so far. So let's hope that it stays fine for the next 2 days, and we have some two brilliant games.
Yeah, we are also hearing if there is no play at all, there will be a super over to decide it, or else the table will be considered. So you don't want this in a T20 game. I remember this happening back in 2017 where KKR took on SRH. It was a 6 over game. It was just a mess. So I hope
No, but
nothing
even
of
if
this.
we have a storm, we have seen that in Kolkata in the last few days, the storm has been sort of coming and going within the. It's been clear in say 1.5 hours. So we are not
Yeah.
having the storms for a long time, the rains for a long time. So it's just pouring for some time and then it's getting cleared. So let's hope
Yeah.
even if there is rain, we have something like that.
Absolutely. And Sandipani is going to be reporting tomorrow from ground zero. He's going to be bringing you people. He's going to be joined by the fans tomorrow as well. So get ready for some exciting stuff for that. And thank you all for joining. Thank you, Jones. It was wonderful. And have a good time all.
Thank you,